Man, science is fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating. The fact that humans have come to know so much about our own bodies, about all these different plants, about we just know so much about so much, almost like perhaps even too much. We know so much about. I know there's so much to learn as well, but my goodness, when you compare, how far humans have come compared to all the other species, it's absolutely nuts. It's nuts. It kind of awakens you in a way to know so much about the human body, like so much about your own body and what it looks like, what your different organs look like, what their different functions are, how different parts in your body work, and why they're built, why they were designed that, why evolution um, kind of made things that way and so on. Like it's absolutely incredible. It's just incredible. Um, and it kind of makes, in a way, it kind of makes you feel less, maybe even in a good way, maybe even in a good way. It makes you, it lowers your ego maybe a bit. It kind of makes you feel less special, I guess, but it's probably a good thing. It when reality hits you and you realize that, you know, um, what you really are, I guess. When you realize what you really are, um, when you realize what a human really is, it's hard to, it's hard for me to kind of put out what I'm trying to say, but um, when you realize, some of the emotions you get are just instinct. They're just within your instincts. They're just everyone gets them. Um, Realizing that muscle is um, let me think. Things kind of become less magical, but in maybe a good way. It kind of grounds you. It kind of grounds you. Um, Realizing there's a purpose to everything, right? Um, and realizing that we're just animals. We're just fucking animals. But like that's not a bad thing to say, We just we're just animals, and we're run by most of the things we do. Most of the things we want are just programmed within us, just like any other animal. You know, you know. We want and need food just like any other animal. We want and need water just like any other animal. We want and need sex just like other animal. It's just we're just fucking animals. Um, and sometimes as a human, you can feel you might sometimes think all superior to every other animal and all the other different species, but we're not. We're not that different at all. Maybe we are more. We have that kind of intelligence that a lot of animals we don't seem to think have, but that's the only thing that really. That's the only major difference, really. You know. And the thing is that knowing that many different humans have, very, very different brains. I mean, so different. Just like we have different heights, different eye colors, different hair colors, and so on. We have completely different brains to one another, like that function completely differently. And it's just true. Some people are born with brains that are just so wildly different to other human beings. Um, but we're all like, the way mutations work on the rest of our body. Maybe that's being a mutation of having longer limbs or whatever. You know, in the past that will have been a mutation that evolved us to maybe grow out longer limbs, so on and so forth. Anyway, mutations on the body, on our exterior, you know, they'll happen in the brain too. And there'll be children born with mutations in the brain, just like we have mutations on the body. And which can make people, those individuals, see the world in a completely different light. And I don't think people understand the extent of that. They don't, I think a lot of people think, I do believe geniuses are born. They're born. I think that these people who are incredibly intelligent, they're born with the potential to be incredibly intelligent. Whether they pursue that, you know, whether they put in the effort to learn, you know, whatever they need to learn, is another thing. But the fact is, the potential is there. Some people are born genius. They're born it. There's no making a genius. A genius is a fucking genius. And this is why I think people like Einstein and so forth, they were born with the potential to be a genius. Not everyone is born with the potential to be a genius. Some people are born with brains that work so incredibly differently to everyone else's. And I know that to be an absolute fact. Nurturing can only do so much. Nurture does play a massive role in someone's development and how they turn out, but it only goes so far. When you think about how many billion people are on the planet, you really think different nurturing can make a fucking genius? There's billions of people. There's 8 billion people. People being nurtured in all sorts of different manners. But geniuses are very rare. It's nothing to do with nurturing. You know, someone who's brought up, raised well and whatnot, is going to help them in other ways, but not in intellectual ways, not in how intelligent they're particularly going to be. You see, true intelligence is nothing. It's not about how good you are at retaining information or anything. True intelligence is a deep understanding, a deep innate understanding. Being able to figure things out in your head, you know, and create things. And it's not about just being able to retain more information than everyone else in a set amount of time, like a test works. To me, that is not intelligence. You know, that's not what made Einstein so great. That there's features within him, within how he worked, that are vastly different to everyone else, and it had nothing to do with retaining information or whatnot. It was a completely separate attribute. There'll have probably been a lot of people who were way better at getting higher test scores than Einstein. There'll be loads. That wasn't what made the Einstein genius. It wasn't that he was so good at retaining information. That wasn't what made him genius. People will get higher test scores or be better in that aspect than Einstein and do nothing else. You know, they might get high test scores, but it means nothing. That is not what makes a genius. In my eyes, you know, test scores and IQ scores mean fuck all. There's so many people, there's so many kids out there who get, you know, really high IQ scores, but then that's it. It's just a piece of paper saying you've got this IQ score or whatever, and so fucking what? It means nothing. You know, what does mean something is doing things, right? Doing things that change the world. Getting a score means fuck all in my eyes, actually. Some high IQ score wasn't what made someone like Einstein a genius at all. Even, and this is why my perception of intelligence is completely different to everyone else's. Well, not everyone else's, but a lot of people's. You see, in schools, a lot of the time, people are always thinking intelligence is always only just about test results. But that isn't it. That isn't all of it. It really isn't. There's a whole different side to intelligence. There's a whole different side to intelligence, I tell you. And intelligence isn't what most people think it is. It really isn't. The thing is, people like Einstein and the best, most innovative people are creative. It's just a fact. Steve Jobs, Einstein, and so on. Nikola Tesla, right? They are creative people. Super, super creative people. It wasn't just a high test score that got them known. It was the fact that they had so many innovations and so many things that benefited the world, right? It wasn't just the fact that they could get high test scores or, be good at retaining information. It was the fact that they created, they discovered, they came up with these theories that helped us better understand the world. These people who just get really high IQ scores, that's it. What does that mean? To me, that means absolutely nothing. They're good at retaining information that is already there. They're not making new information. They're just picking up information from people who have already figured shit out and just being good at retaining it in their mind. What's that doing? They're not creating, they're not discovering, they're not coming up with new theories. They're just good at holding other people's theories in their heads. That doesn't make someone intelligent in my eyes at all. That is not my definition of intelligence whatsoever. Now, really intelligent people can use other people's theories to help develop their own, you see. That's where, that's why it's handy to learn what's come before you so that you can develop on that, right? But if you're just learning what everyone else has already learned and not developing upon it, then you're just learning what everyone else has already learned. That's not intelligence to me. Intelligence to me is developing upon it, on those theories, discovering new things, doing new things. There's so many people, almost fake intellectuals in my opinion. People who just get really high test scores or IQ scores who are regarded as geniuses. But all they do is get high test scores. They don't develop anything new. They don't come up with anything new. That's not intelligence. In my eyes, at least, that is not intelligence. I can't regard someone like that as a genius. I just can't. Anyone I would look up to as a genius would be those people that created new things, developed new things, brought new things to this world. Maybe that be new ideas or new technology, but someone who just is good at retaining information, I cannot regard as a genius. So these people with super high, I don't think IQ has anything to do with someone being a genius or not, because there's so many people who get really high IQ scores, but that's it. And then on the media, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's a genius. But then that's it. They get a high IQ score. And then years go by and they die and everyone's fucking forgot about them. So, so yeah. I consider anyone who's brought new ideas, big new ideas and so on and so forth, and like, again, technology and so on. That's where I kind of see. That's where I kind of think genius is found, right? People like, Martin Luther King, or people like, even someone like Mike Tyson. He was incredible at what he did. He was one of the best, if not the best, at what he did. I don't care if it's boxing. I don't care if you're the best at something, you're a fucking genius. It doesn't have to be in fucking physics or whatever. It can be in whatever. It can be in a sport. If you're the best at it, then you're a genius within that field. So I think we look at genius as quite narrow-mindedly, you know. We only see people who do things in maths and science as geniuses. But there's so many geniuses within so many different fields. For example, Hans Zimmer is a fucking genius. The best directors and filmmakers or whatever, like Christopher Nolan or whatever, he's a fucking genius. I don't care if he is not in science or in maths or whatever. He's a genius within that field. The best musicians are geniuses within their field. The best footballers are geniuses within their field. It doesn't have to be in maths or science. But no, I think it's about time we drop this whole, oh, high IQ score means genius. Because it really, it's shown that it doesn't mean that. So many people, I'm pretty sure, have got higher IQs than Einstein. So many people. But it means fucking nothing. It doesn't mean they're smarter than Einstein. In fact, I think it's actually quite a insult to someone like a big name like that, like Einstein. Some kid, getting a super high IQ score, and then that's it. No, not doing anything more, not developing any new ideas, and then being regarded as more intelligent than Einstein. Like, it makes absolutely no fucking sense. I think deep intelligence, I think high intelligence has a lot to do with deep thinking. I think that's where the best ideas come from. I think that's where the best theories come from. Is always deep thinking. And that's completely different to being able to having a good, to being good at retaining information or something. Is a whole different side to the brain. Um, but I think that's where true intelligence is. It's deep thinking. all of the best people are deep thinkers. Always. A lot of the, all the best, all the, all the most intelligent people have that kind of philosophical mind. And you'll see it. They write quotes and so on. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone does that. It's like, even if they're in a field that has nothing to do with kind of philosophy, the fact that they are philosophical by nature. I think all the most intelligent people are philosophical. Whether they share that or not, I think you'll find that all the most intelligent people are very philosophical by nature, because I think that goes hand in hand with intelligence. Absolutely. You'll have seen all, Einstein wrote all these quotes. They all write all these quotes, and so on. And the way they speak is a lot of the time is in a very philosophical manner. Even though they're not philosophers by trade, they are philosophical. But like, really high intelligence is about bringing new things to this world. It's not about learning about what's already there. It's about bringing new things, new ideas, new developments, new technology. It's not about just learning about the stuff that's already there. Real intelligence comes from developing upon what's already there. That's where I see intelligence. That's where I see true intelligence. So if someone says, if someone says that, I got this really high grade in this whatever, that's something. But I'm not going to regard them as more intelligent than anyone else just because of that. Where things are developed upon, they come up with a new innovative idea or technology or whatever, that's where I hold true intelligence. That's where I see true intelligence. Because it shows that they can learn from what's already there and develop upon it. That's intelligence. That's high intelligence. That shows someone with who's intelligent, very intelligent, if they can develop upon the ideas that are already there. Not just learn what's already there, but develop upon it. Because let's even say, like, someone like Mike Tyson, for example, right? You're right, a boxer by trade, But he being one of the best boxers, if not the best, shows that he was really intelligent. And to be the best of something, that just shows intelligence. And even though his career was built upon punching people and getting punched, there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there? All the tactics used, all the way, all the things we've had to think about, game planning, how he's going to strategically win the game, for example, what he can do next match, what can he learn from the last match that he can develop upon, what are the opponent's weaknesses, things these boxers think about, the best boxers think about, that is strategic, and that there's a lot of intelligence involved. The best footballers or whatever, they planning, figuring the opponent team out, figuring out how they play, how they can counteract that, so on and so forth. Like it is behind the scenes, but the best of people within any field will be doing that, within a sport or whatever. So it does show intelligence. And even someone who gets an A star in a physics exam, in a university physics exam or whatever, it doesn't mean they're any more intelligent than someone like Mike Tyson. Because Mike Tyson did things. He didn't just learn things, but he did things. I don't care if his career was in boxing. It's just the fact is, we always think, oh, that person does what, like physics, and they're, in university level, and they get really high grades in it. And we always think, oh, that means they're so intelligent. But it doesn't. In my eyes, if they can bring new theories, new ideas, new inventions to this world, then yes. But if they're learning all the old stuff but not developing upon it and bringing new stuff to the table, then it's not this hyper intelligence. In my eyes, people can see it differently, but in my eyes, that is the case. I think you'll actually find a lot of people who do really well in school, get really high grades. A lot of them are actually not that intelligent at all when it comes down to it. And it completely varies. There's people who get low grades and are super intelligent, you'll find, and it's a complete mixed bag. It just doesn't determine, grades just don't determine the full spectrum of intelligence. It just doesn't. There's so much more to intelligence. For example, some people I meet who are in kind of, maybe, let me think, like maybe in construction or something. There's a lot of people who are in that kind of field of work who are super, super, super intelligent. And when I've talked to a lot of these people in that kind of field of work, I can realize some of the people I've talked to, even in a field like that, are super, super intelligent. And these people who like create their own business within that, I don't care if they're not, you know, in the field of physics getting really high grades, you know. They're intelligent regardless. And I've met people who get the highest of grades in the highest of education. And yeah, they've retained a lot of information. They can tell you a lot of facts and things. But when it comes to true intelligence, when you ask them what they think about certain things, or when it comes to a deeper kind of level of intelligence, they're quite low on that. So, quite a lot of them I've spoken to. There's obviously some that are that are super intelligent in other ways as well. But there are some people that I've talked to who get super high grades, but are not in a lot of other ways. They're not actually that intelligent. Like true intelligence to me is being able to learn. Say you've learned something, you're able to analyze that, find things out from that, new things out from that thing you've learned, and bring new ideas to the table. It's learning about. It's not just learning things and that being end of, but it's learning things so that you can bring new things to the table. It's about analyzing these things, looking in more detail. It's being able to use everything you've learned to bring new ideas to the table. For example, a computer, right? A computer, you say the internet, say Google. It knows a lot of things, right? But it doesn't. Say if Google was a person, they would know loads of facts and stuff, but you can just Google it. You know what I'm trying to say? Something like Google, yes, it knows a load of facts. You can search the web and find all this stuff out. But it's not adding new ideas to the table, you see? So if a person was Google, if there was a person who was Google and knew all this stuff, it wouldn't necessarily make them super intelligent in my eyes. They would know loads, but there's no new ideas being brought to the table. Even if someone was Google, we've already got Google. Even if there was a person who knew everything there was to know on Google, anything you can search about on Google, and they knew all. They were, Google is in a physical form, in a human form, right? Well, we've already got Google. We can already search up whatever the fuck we want and learn about whatever we want. So yeah, doesn't necessarily make that person all that intelligent, does it? But then if there was another human being who could bring loads of new ideas to the table, was really innovative, really creative, right? And you talk to that person, and they were questioning things, they were bringing new ideas to the table, I would instantly see that person as way more intelligent than someone who was literally Google in human form. Because they're bringing new ideas to the table.